Buongiorno, prima di cominciare presento gli ospiti al tavolo, a partire da in fondo alla mia destra, il produttore Sue Kroll, il produttore Lynette Taylor, il regista e interprete del film Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga e il produttore Bill Gerber. C'è una domanda qua. Domanda là.
Congratulations, Bradley. Just astounding. Stephen Schaefer here from the Boston Herald. Hi. For Lady Gaga, why do you think this story has endured for, 80 years at this point? And what did you see as your biggest challenge with the film? And for Bradley, after directing, writing, producing, and starring in this, and you've just done a movie, I understand, with Clint Eastwood, where do you want your career to go next?
Well, I think it's safe to say, because we have seen so many incarnations of this film, we know already that this story has stood the test of time. It is a beautiful story, and it is one that people, I think, will be touched by all over the world. It's a story about love. It's a story about what Bradley would refer to as the human plight and addiction. It's a remarkable experience for me, and I'm very much looking forward to everybody seeing it. The challenge for me in playing Allie is that really at the beginning of this film, Allie has completely given up on herself. And when I started out in the music industry, when I decided I wanted to be a singer and go for it professionally, I was about 19 years old, and I hit the ground running, and I was dragging my piano from dive bar to dive bar trying to get jobs so that I could sing and perform for people, and I really believed in myself. Allie does not believe in herself at the beginning of this film, and it is her relationship with Jack and their love together and how much he believes in her that really brings her to life.
Hi. Oh, that was lovely. I'm so lucky to have worked with her.
I'm so lucky.
And everybody in this room, on this desk. Time, to answer your question, I'm 43 years old. And time, I don't know how you feel about it, but that's the biggest currency. And I just want to make sure that I utilize that time to the best degree possible. So this movie was, all said and done, probably 4 years of my life, and every minute and second was worth it. So I just hope to be able to be a part of projects that I loved as much as I loved this one. And if I can continue to do that, and people like Warner Brothers is willing to allow me to tell stories, then that's what I'll do.
Hello, good morning. This is Laura Sanchez from W Radio Colombia. My question is for Lady Gaga. After watching the film, I was wondering if you ever felt the pressure of having to change your look or your appearance at the beginning of your career, as your character does in the film. Thank you so much.
At the beginning of my career?
Yes, exactly.
At the beginning of my career, I have always loved to transform. I've always loved to shapeshift and become different characters. It's part of my artwork, it's part of my music. And what was so wonderful about this experience with Bradley and why he's such an incredible director is that he really wanted to see me with nothing. And I remember very, very well, I walked down the stairs from my house before we filmed the screen test for A Star is Born, and he had a makeup wipe in his hand, and he put his hand on my face, and he went like this, and there was makeup. We had put just a little bit, and he said, I want no makeup on your face. And so this vulnerability was something that he brought out in me, and for someone that doesn't necessarily feel safe, that vulnerable all the time, it was such a special experience with him. He made me just feels so free, and at the same time he is so laser focused while he's working and such a visionary. So I got to live my dream. I've always wanted to be an actress, and there can be 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe in you, and you just need one to believe in you, and that was him. So I'm very lucky to be here.
Yes, Pietro Gallina, Venezia Vivere. I have a little question for Lady Gaga. In the movie, there is a very touching scene when Ellie, for the first time, plays her own music to the public. So this is a very unforgettable moment, I think, for every musician, every songwriter. And what did you feel acting this part of the movie? Thank you so much.
I have to say that me and Bradley were so entrenched in the characters that this moment when we were filming felt so real, so alive. We had a live audience watching us. We sang the film live. And because I have never done a film before, as an actress, for me, it was very easy to kind of go to a place where I was saying to myself, okay, I've never done this before. This is my first time on film, and get into that circumstance and then go out into play. And she does. Ali has that. She takes a bit of liquid courage. She knocks down the shot glass and she goes out there and she gives it her all. And I remember very well that it was, I think, the last take of the performance. We did many takes of it, and it was the last take, and Bradley came over to me right before and he said, okay, now on this one, I want you just to have fun. And I performed, and I'll never forget it. It really did feel like I was performing my song for the first time. It was very, very special.
And I just have to add to that we can all attest to that. You know, it was special for you, but I wish you could have been there to actually watch it happen, because while we were filming this movie, we also had the opportunity of watching and being a part of watching her sing every day. And it was literally the whole crew would just sit back, and we all kind of forgot we were even doing a job every time she sang. We were just sort of sitting there watching it and feeling very grateful that we were there at this moment to watch this incredible artist do her thing. And that really, it never got old, right? I mean, it was insane. All of a sudden she starts, and you know, the temperature in the room changes.
Bradley, how much of a challenge? It's Julia. I'm here.
Hey.
Yeah. How scary it was for you when Gaga suggested that you sing live in the film?
You know, this is the thing about people needing people. She made me feel so comfortable from the first day we met. In fact, that we sang together that very first 15, 20 minutes we knew each other. And I'd be lying if I said I was nervous, because she made me feel so comfortable. She really did. You know, she's very present and warm. And when you see an artist of that caliber treat you like a peer, it's very emboldening. And so the true answer is I didn't. I felt like I was protected all the time.
And he is a great singer.
Yeah, can I just say, when he first told me, oh, you know, I sang a little bit in college, I thought, okay, well, you know, maybe he'll figure out a way to do it. Of course, the next thing I know, he's singing with Lady Gaga, you know, and holding his own. And
Really,
you know,
really such a tremendous singer. And I from the moment he opened his mouth, we were sitting at my piano in the living room, and he started to sing, and I stopped and said, oh my gosh, Bradley, you have an incredible voice. He sings from his gut, you know, from the nectar, from the soul. And I think this comes across so strong in Jack's character. And what I love so much about working with Bradley is that, you know, there was a true exchange. You know, he accepted me as an actress, and I accept him fully as a musician. And he spent so much time in the studio and with musicians studying music and studying the behind the scenes and everything that goes on in the music industry. And it was just an incredible thing to watch and to be a part of.
Hey guys, you talked about singing in the living room. Straight ahead. Hey,
Hi.
you talked about singing in the living room, but you really had to sing in front of 50, 60,000 people at one point. Gaga, I'm sure you're quite used to that. Bradley, it may have been a new experience. But talk a little bit about that sequence in the movie where Jackson calls you out on stage and you have to perform in front of that crowd for the first time. What was it like for you when you first had to do that? And Bradley, when you got to sing at Coachella, is it a cathartic thrill that just doesn't compare to anything else?
Take this one.
Yes.
That was what, talk about her as an actress, right? Here's a world super. What's that?
Go ahead, don't worry. Go ahead, please.
To have a world superstar musician who just did the halftime show at the Super Bowl. Is my man all right?
Yeah. He's good, yeah.
Okay, good. To have her act, because that is major acting, like she's stepping on a stage for the first time, blew me away as a director, as a fellow actor watching her, because I fully believed that she had never stepped on a stage of that scope. And we didn't do that one time. We shot that over 2 or 3 days, and every single time it felt fresh and new, and I felt like I was dragging this person very reluctantly, who, by the way, fell on the floor most of the takes because she wouldn't let go of my hand. That was an incredible experience as an actor, to the meta of it for me as a human being, watching this person who I also know who she is, acting in such a way that I fully believe that she's never stepped on that stage. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I'll tell you that from an acting point of view.
Maybe the producer can chime in on how difficult it is to bring a production of this scale into something as complicated as Coachella and film there.
You know, when we first started speaking to, well, there's 2 phases here because, you know, we went to Glastonbury as well. So we worked with the AEG people, and we were at Coachella and Stagecoach. And Bradley has a long-standing relationship with the folks at Glastonbury. So that was another thing that took a lot of logistics. But the fact is, you know, Bradley was involved in the early meetings with all the concert promoters. And I think that they saw right away what a dedicated filmmaker he was, and they wanted to be involved. And then we did get a little lucky. We were negotiating with them to use the grounds, and Bradley and I had been to Coachella a few times and kind of always looked at those stages and thought, wow, they just sit there and do nothing in between weekend 1 and weekend 2. It sure be nice to get in there and get the production value of all that. But a few weeks before we were going to start, they had a little change of plan at Coachella, and all of a sudden they needed a leading lady of their own. And so...
And I had 3 days to get ready.
It just made our conversations a little easier to have. So let's just say they were very cooperative after that, and they shared in Bradley's vision. They wanted to be part of the movie, and we had a lot of, look, there were a couple of things, there were a couple of iffy moments when, you know, we were told while we were filming, look, if Radiohead need to do a sound check, you guys have to leave, you know. But other than that, we really got through it, and we had an amazing crew of people in all the departments that were ready to just rock and roll whenever Bradley was ready. So
that is so true. Everybody on this team, every single person that is a part of this film is just so beautiful, so wonderful, so kind, and it made the experience just sensational.
You have a question there? Ok, cominci lei.
Buongiorno, Marilena Vinci, Radio Cinema. Una domanda innanzitutto per Lady Gaga. Uno dei temi del film è come l'industria discografica tenda a cambiare, a volte a manipolare gli artisti. Volevo sapere se a lei, magari all'inizio della sua carriera, è capitato di dover o di non poter dire qualche no. E poi una domanda anche per Bradley. Quanto condiziona? All'inizio del film vediamo una scena in cui la sua popolarità lo mette in difficoltà. Quanto questo lo condiziona nella vita quotidiana? Se è un aspetto che le dà fastidio, in poche parole, come gestisce questa popolarità? Grazie.
Oh, to Bradley, she asked how his fame conditions his daily life.
Well, I'd many times in the beginning of my career, I said no. I write my own music, and I work with other writers as well at times. But when I was first starting out, I was not the most beautiful girl in the room, and there were lots of women that were singers, but that did not write their own music. And many record executives wanted to take my songs and give them to other women to sing, and I was like holding on to my music with my cold dead fingers saying, you're not going to take my songs from me. And also, they make suggestions about how you should look, and I worked with dancers because I actually started out as a pianist, and they wanted to see me dance, and I had also danced in school. So there was some navigation that occurred, but I was always very strong at the beginning of my career that I always had to take a left turn a little bit. No matter what they asked me to do, I always had to make sure that it was done my way. I never wanted to be sexy like other women. I never wanted to be viewed like other women. I wanted to be my own artist and have my own vision. And I think it's the same thing for Ali in this film. She's navigating her career, and she's trying to find her place as she transforms.
The thing that I love about Jackson Maine's character is that he really doesn't think about fame at all. And the opening scene of the movie, actually, it's a sold-out venue, and you get the sense that there's nothing dwindling on the outside. It's maybe in the inside when you see him go into that car, and where you may be expecting somebody to be filled with elation after just coming off of this very bombastic opening. He seems quite melancholic and takes a swig of a bottle of gin that's in the back seat. So, and that was one of the things that I wanted to portray with this character, that he's operating from a completely different viewpoint. So that's not something that he's dealing with. And he could have gone on and sold venues, and he didn't have any financial problems. And if he got his own mind straight and worked on himself, he could have continued to perform and be very successful. Me personally, the thing about fame that I find fascinating is the sonic element of it, and that's what we have in the movie. It's very much like there's tons of noise, and then all of a sudden you're alone. And I didn't want to have any sort of paparazzi or press conferences, no offense, in the movie, but to capture what it kind of feels like from an experiential point, and that's why that movie has that rhythm.
Hi, Paulo Portugal, Metro International Insider. Although you're very accomplished in Bradley as an actor, Miss Gaga as a singer, I wonder if you guys discovered anything new by Miss Gaga being acting and Bradley as directing, which can we say new stars were born in that area. And if you guys have any intention to maybe do it again. I know, Bradley, you have some plans. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for saying that. The best thing you can do in terms of storytelling or whatever piece of art you're trying to create is to do something that challenges you to such a degree that you learn something at every turn. And I have to say, I would be here for 2 hours talking to you about all the things I've learned in this experience. And that all came across because somebody believed in me, and she believed in me, and I think that's the key, and even getting this movie made, the person sitting all the way to the right, Sue Kroll, believed in this movie when maybe not everybody else did, and she's absolutely the reason that we're sitting here today, single-handedly. So it's all about people believing in you. And I think that if I could go on and have another experience where I'm working with somebody who I feel believes in me that much, I think that's when you have an opportunity to learn and grow. Because you're willing to face your fear. Because learning usually comes with facing fear. I certainly faced it singing and directing and writing a movie, for sure.
I'd like to follow up on that, because one of the remarkable things of the film is the revelation that you're a very good director, and this is your first film. So I want to ask Sue first, why did you think that Brad could be a good director, could take on this film? And then I'd like Brad to explain a little bit some of the stylistic choices he made in behind the camera.
You just press it.
Sorry. Well, first of all, I've had the good fortune of knowing Bradley for almost your entire career. And I think, and this is no secret to any of you, I mean, everything that Bradley does, he does impeccably and has grown as an artist and a filmmaker, as an actor, in, I think, very profound ways. There was no hesitation at the studio level when Bradley wanted to direct this film. Everybody bought into his vision immediately. You're an incredible talent, obviously. We all know that. The dedication and focus that Bradley puts into everything he does is so meaningful and so unusual. And of course, chemistry and his belief in Gaga and our belief. For me, I always thought that you were the one. Everybody knows that. And the two of you, your chemistry and your working together, and Bradley, even the chemistry test that you put together to demonstrate to the studio, it was done so beautifully and so impeccably. So I think that I've worked with a lot of wonderful filmmakers. I've been very privileged in my job at Warner Brothers and now on the outside as a producer. You're one of the most talented and incredibly brilliant filmmakers that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I think everybody here, you've experienced the movie and you know that to be true.
I second that.
So Brad, some of the your stylistic choices behind the camera in terms of the way to design the film.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I'll just make it simple. The main thing was I was probably 6 years ago at a Metallica concert, and I had met Lars Ulrich the night before, and I said, I'm a huge fan of Metallica, and he said, come to our concert. And I had always been in the crowd before that, and so we were with him and his father, and we were behind the drum kit, and I saw the scope of it, and I think that was the first time I thought, wow, you could get, this composition is incredible, and it's not what many people feel. And everybody, the term, that guy's a rock star is assigned to people when they're not even in music, because, so that's the ultimate high, right, as to what is it like to be on a stage as performing music. And so that was where the idea compositionally was born of, always being subjective. So in the movie, you're always on the stage, and the dilemma was, can we get scope by maintaining the camera and the point of view on the stage? So that was one of the major things I wanted to do. I mean, light, colors, red and blue, have their own story point throughout the whole film. Certain way that characters are cut off sonically. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
There's something about her close-ups, especially at the beginning, that is very special.
Well, there's something about, one of my favorite things about in the movie compositionally is that she's a star before she even knows it. So the movie treats her like a star in the bathroom at the bottom of this hotel, because she walks up and the frame is as if she's on stage, but she doesn't even know it yet. That was one of the things. I just fell in love with her face and eyes. So I mean, that wasn't anything other than I just wanted to be as close as possible in shooting it, quite frankly. But the story point to that is Jackson's constantly avoiding the camera, and she's willing, because she's such a pure artist and a pure soul, to just be able to be right there in front of it.
Okay, c'è risposta qua.
Hi. Hi, I'm Alessandra De Tommasi from The Hot Corn, Italy. My question is to Lady Gaga. Since Bradley just said that he wanted to face his fears, I would like to ask you, you seem very fearless to your audience. I would like to ask you, what kind of fear did you face in this movie? And just out of curiosity, how much is important to you to premiere here in Italy, since you have our roots? So how much is important for you, and how much your roots have influenced you as a human being and also as an artist? Thank you.
I am so proud to be here. Some of my family is from Bracco and Venice, so this is an absolute dream. I've always wanted to be an actress. For me, the truth is that the challenges that I had to face with this character was being completely vulnerable and being completely bare. For most of the film, I have no makeup on my face, and this was something that was very important to Bradley, but he made me feel so comfortable. And what makes him so incredible as a director is that he's laser focused, like a ninja. It's completely, the image and the vision is completely in frame. but at the same time, there's spontaneity. And so what he was able to do was pull a vulnerability out of me that I might not have been able to pull out by myself. So I was very afraid to approach this role, but I had, my friend and my companion by my side to help me through it. And I think it's true in anything that you always want to work with people that are better than you. And, he's better than me. And I love that, and I learned so much from him. I learned every single day. I watched him when he was working, when I was, waiting for my scenes. I was watching him work. In between setup changes, I was watching him move cameras, change lighting, change the setup on the fly. I mean, he's just incredible at what he does. And so, yes, I was afraid, but then when you get into the water with somebody that is really good at treading water, in fact, swimming at light speed, then it's okay.
The other thing that your question made me realize is how much our Italian connection helped our bond, because I didn't even know that you were Italian, and I'm half Italian, and actually the character's name is Ali Campana, which is my mother's maiden name.
And Campagna is actually a name in my family as well.
It was Campana, and then when they went to Ellis Island, they changed it to Campano. But when we first met, after 10 minutes, we were eating homemade food that she'd cooked in her kitchen. So I love to eat. I was
like, you hungry?
And but that was actually a huge bond, was the fact that we both from the East Coast, Italian-American families, and so we had a real sort of synchronicity on that level, just from our upbringing.
Hello, I'm here. So I'd like to know from both of you if you saw the movie from Cukor from the 1954, which is called A Star is Born, and if in case it is an homage, and secondly, you have a beautiful nose, as beautiful as those of Callas, which was a strong nose and a strong singer. Thank you for the
Yeah, that George Cukor film is incredible. James Mason and Judy Garland that movie slays me. And actually, her walking up the ramp singing the prelude to Somewhere Over the Rainbow was our, paying respect to that film, and then having the title come across. That was an attempt to sort of bow down to that film. And we shoot in the Shrine. The last scene is in the Shrine Auditorium, which is where Judy Garland's 20-minute musical sort of interval occurs in that film. So that was a very special place to be able to shoot there.
Hi, Bradley here. Wonderful film. Congratulations. Could you please tell us a few words about your work in this film with Sam Elliott? Because your scenes with him are incredible. Could you please tell us something? Sam Elliott.
And Sam Elliott. Yeah, if he said no, I would have a major problem because I wrote that for him. The whole story was around the fact that he would do it. I had always been a major fan of Sam Elliott, huge, wanted to be Sam Elliott. And he was kind enough to come over, and we met for dinner, and I told him this sort of crazy idea that my character is his younger brother, and we have different mothers, and that I stole his voice, and that he would be a resentful person. That's how he dealt with the traumatic occurrence that with their family, and I really wanted to watch a character with that power play somebody who's allowed bitterness and resentment to rule him for his life. I thought that would be a very interesting challenge for Sam, and one that he could crush. That said, and we can all attest to this, every time he was on set and every time he opened his mouth, it was a bit akin to watching Stephanie sing and act. I mean, that scene in the end when they're on the couch, we shot that on the last day, and that was quite something. Every time I got to work with him was a real privilege, and I thought, oh, thank God, I'm here right now.
I'm sorry, but they came twice to tell me that we are running out of time, so I have to close it here. I thank our guest.
Thank you.